What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or GameOverJesse, as some of y'all may know me, here with, for the first time on the Zelda Mailbag, Mandy Lee Plays, and returning Axel the Beast, and also for the first time ever, Gus. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Gus.
I'm bad introducing myself, but my name is Gustavo Calvo, or Gus for short. I have a blog with my own same name, just easy to remember, I guess. And I'm restarting to do my YouTube channel as well my Twitch, and I love enjoying cosplay and going to comic book conventions. That's it.
Alright, awesome.
Cool.
And
Gus, would we see you at E3?
Oh no, I'm in Florida right now.
okay. Alright, well, this is the Zelda Mailbag, where you can submit your Zelda, Nintendo, whatever video game related questions you might have to have them answered on the podcast. If we get too many questions like we did this time, then you can head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where for $1 and up you can have your question guaranteed to be answered, but you can also get other cool stuff, just as Gus got this time, being on the podcast answering the questions alongside us. Today we have Axel the Beast, who I would say is known for his own Zelda Mailbag.
Yep.
Which is going to be moving from the Zelda Dungeon YouTube channel to the Axel the Beast channel.
We lost Gus's video.
Wait, it's my camera, my cat moved the cord.
Oh no! How dare that cat?
Alright, well, let's see here. Going with our first question of the mailbag, it is from the Champion of Morrowind, who asks, would you like Nintendo to make Breath of the Wild a complete reboot to the Zelda timeline? They could make Zelda a much more lore-heavy franchise and not have certain games contradict each other lore-wise. Now, Mandy, earlier you were saying this is exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
For Breath of the Wild to be a reboot. I hope I didn't steal your question by taking that one. I imagine...
Still looking through them.
Alright, so...
That just means she gets to answer more ones that she wants.
Yeah. So, Axel, starting with you, since you are all the way over on the left for me, what are your thoughts on this? Should Breath of the Wild be a brand new start of the timeline?
So the timeline whole thing is... How do I put this? Delicately. Delicately, yeah. Very carefully. For me, the timeline has never mattered a lot. I feel like a lot of the games are never, like, very focused on it. Like, it's complicated because, like, almost every game in the series does actually reference another game. Like, a huge amount of them do. But at the same time, in regards to the general series, it doesn't care that much. And I feel like the timeline's been made a lot more complicated than it had to be. I think the whole timeline split thing was totally unnecessary. I think the third timeline they added with the Hyrule story stuff was completely, like, superfluous. I think they easily could have just fit everything into one timeline if they just, like, explained a couple of the missing details. Because I feel like that's all you really have. There's missing details between games. There's not really humongous contradictions, at least not ones that can't be easily explained. So my feeling on the timeline is, yeah, they could reboot it. I don't necessarily care. They could keep what they have. I don't necessarily care. I just feel like they're overcomplicating it more than it needs to be. That's my outlook on it.
All right.
It could be very simple, and it's just not.
Alright, and so, Mendy, why do you feel the Breath of the Wild timeline should be a reboot?
Because I want more, like, structured story, and all these different timelines is, like, it doesn't give it, like, a lore, like, kind of, like, it gives it a universe, but not, like, I just want the story to be fleshed out more, so you can have timelines in like that, or at least not like all the games is a different timeline.
Yeah, and Nintendo has mentioned that with the timeline and games being set in a specific order, it limits what they can do, because they might want to have a game like put somewhere that references one thing, but because it references Wind Waker, they can't necessarily let it also reference Twilight Princess. So
Which,
they're
by the way,
stuck.
would be solved if they put them all linearly.
Yeah, so they have it so that they're limited to where, like, oh, we can reference the flood, but if we do that, we can't reference Link turning into a wolf. So,
Right.
Yeah.
like, they're stuck creatively, which is a problem in some occasions, I guess. But next, Gus, what are your thoughts on this? Should Breath of the Wild be the start of a brand new timeline?
I was thinking about it a while ago, but not necessarily, because there's already so much lore incorporated into the Zelda cosmology that at the end I think it could be more of a unified timeline than anything else.
Yeah.
All right, and what about
It would
you?
be-
Sorry, Axel?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it would be kind of sad to lose everything that's been built up at the same time.
Yeah.
It's pros and cons, I guess.
And what about you, Daniel?
I'm half in agreement. I think that the main split in the timeline is necessary. The adult and child timeline, just because of the way that the time travel is built in the game. You have to kind of have that split because you can't. It's hard to have both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker occur around the same time or after as a sequel for Ocarina of Time. But that does put Nintendo in a box creatively, especially with the classic games, Link to the Past, the original Zeldas and everything, which I think is why they ended up just making a third timeline split, which drives me nuts. I really don't like the Link failed split, because it's like, no, that's not like a timeline, that's that game over screen.
Cop out timeline.
You know, yeah. So because I always felt like as a kid, I would playing Link to the Past and then Ocarina of Time, knowing the backstory of Link to the Past, it's like, okay, this game is a prequel to Link to the Past. But then when Wind Waker comes out, it's like, okay, well, where does this other game fit in, right? But there's too much conflict to it, in my opinion, for it all to be one linear timeline. We've talked about the linearist and splitists factions of Zelda theorists back in before we had Hyrule Historia. Yeah, I don't. It's very complicated. Overall, I think it is inconsequential to the games individually because that's not what the games are built around. They're built around the experience and gameplay mechanics and things like that. And the story is more of an afterthought from a game design standpoint. But it
Except
is
with
fun.
Skyward Sword, oddly.
Oh yeah, that one kind of was the exception where they were like, we're gonna make the first game. That's what we're doing. And that game also was good from, for its own reasons. But they put themselves in a box by doing that, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call. Like, it's kind of a balancing act. I still want to have a timeline. I still like the Dragon Break idea for Breath of the Wild as far as where it could fit because they were trying to work outside that box. There's those contradicting things, right? But overall, I'm fine either way, I guess. Like when we didn't have an official timeline, I wasn't like, rawr, Nintendo, screw you, you hate me, me personally. But I wasn't. When it was released, I wasn't like throwing the book against the wall, raging about it because it didn't fit with my own personal theories either. So it's overall it's kind of inconsequential, but it's still fun to theorize about, and still I think. Part
kind of
of
funny.
what drives the community, because the Zelda community, they love to look into all those details and everything, right? They love to pick apart the details.
It'd be really funny if Nintendo does reboot the timeline with Breath of the Wild, but like never says that's what they're doing ever. So like everyone spends the rest of time arguing about it.
Yeah, every single game to come out.
Past them.
Every single game to come out after Breath of the Wild continues to reference all three timelines.
I wouldn't put it past them because, like, it took them 25 years to officially release the original timeline.
No, there was all the interviews where Miyamoto said there was a document in his desk with all of them organized, but I think that was just a lie.
I'm pretty sure.
But the thing is, I think he would get the games, like, the finished products, he'd play it, and then just, like, tuck it in there. And he'd be like, yeah, it goes here, and just slip it in. And, like, you know what I mean? I don't think they because they did not design the games around where is it going to fit in the timeline.
Yeah.
Like 100% it was an afterthought. In another video, I made a joke about, like, kind of a visual joke about like a dartboard with all the Zelda games on it, and then it's like Nintendo choosing the next Zelda game's timeline placement, and then just hucking a dart on the dartboard.
Axel, did you notice you have a fan in the chat?
Uh-oh.
Someone is OMGing because you were on the live stream.
Oh.
Yes, Axel.
Is this someone who didn't know I came back?
This is Mars 227. Does that mean anything to you, Axel?
It sounds familiar.
Where were you on March 27, 2002?
Alright. Mandy, do you have your question picked out?
Yeah.
Alright.
Hold on a second. It's by Tevi Bear, and he or she asks, what is your favorite incarnation of Zelda in terms of character design, etc.?
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword.
Zelda.
Breath of the Wild.
That's a good
She
one
had
too.
voice
Even
acting.
though Skyward Sword's your
Good
favorite
point.
Zelda game?
But the Skyward Sword one had voice acting too. She sung.
Oh, that's true. Okay, true. I'm gonna go a way different direction. Spirit
Okay.
Tracks Zelda.
Yeah.
What?
I really like her. She's a great companion character. She actually has like an arc in the game. Like she has a character arc where she's like terrified of everything at the beginning of the game. She toughens up throughout
Yeah.
it, and she actually helps you. Like, yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that that interaction.
Alright, what about you, Gus? Who's your favorite Zelda?
Link's Awakening. That will be the one. Then Majora's Mask will be the other one.
No, your favorite
Oh, the companion.
incarnation of Zelda.
The character.
Incarnation of Zelda.
Yeah.
I think I will agree with Mandy. The one in Skyward Sword, I think that's one of the best ones.
Oh, she
I
said
did-
Breath of the Wild. We said
Ah!
Skyward Sword.
I got
It's okay.
distracted. I haven't thought about it, to be honest.
Most of the Zeldas work really well for the game they're in.
Yeah,
Except Twilight Princess Zelda. She doesn't really do much.
she seems mean.
Well, no,
She
but
doesn't
she's,
do it for me.
she's like the ethereal, beautiful princess you barely get to see. Like every game hints at, like in Ocarina of Time, when you hear about Princess Zelda, it's like, oh, it's the princess in the castle. I wonder if she's as beautiful as they say. It's like
She's
that
like 11.
Yeah, right.
That will be the
like-
one in Link's Adventure. She doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but in Twilight Princess, it's like they realize that idea, the princess you barely get to see, but is everyone talks about
Yeah.
her kind of.
No, I do like her. She's like that strong matriarch character.
Yeah.
But I just they underuse her. That's my issue.
Well, that's
I like
because
her
it was
character,
about Twilight Princess. It's called Twilight Princess.
Not
Yeah,
Hyrule
but they
Princess.
tease- okay, the
Yeah,
thing is
it's
they
not the
tease
White
it.
Princess.
They tease it as that being her. Like the
Yeah.
trailers, everything it builds up, and you're thinking that she's the Twilight Princess. Midna actually calls her Twilight Princess.
I know. Yeah, they're
As like a mislead. So if they continued on with it, it's like this great misdirection, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, it was actually Midna was the Twilight
Yeah.
Princess.
So are we
Oh.
saying that Zelda is the Zant of the women of the game?
the
will say
cop out?
No, I'm going back and forth. Mandy picking Breath of the Wild Zelda, like, I feel it's the Zelda, or the version of Zelda that has the most character development.
Yeah.
Because she's actually struggling at the beginning to unlock her powers, whereas the rest just already have it, kind of.
Can I go back and change my answer? Because
Uh,
I just
2 milkshakes.
all right. I'll bring it with me to LA when I go see you. Tetra is the best, hands down. I love Tetra.
That's not
Good
She's
point.
got it. She is Zelda.
Yeah,
and
but that's-
she's like this awesome, tough pirate character. She's the boss of all these guys, and she comes in. She
She's also
kind
a
of gets
huge
you into this
dirtbag.
mess. She is, but that's the thing is like all these Zeldas, all of them are princesses. You know, they're all very
she's
like
a pirate princess.
she's a pirate, but that turns out to be a princess, and she's kind of mixed up in this whole mess. But she's as feisty a character as any of the other pirates, and she has her own motivations at the start of the game as well.
to find the
Um,
Dragon Balls.
Bring
Sure.
that back.
That's why
Okay.
she's sailing around the globe to find the Dragon Balls.
You know, they never say it, but it could be.
Well,
Could be. They don't not say it either.
how
Did
many?
you actually get a Dragon Ball in that game, though?
How many? Yes, you get the goddess pearls that you have to.
Yeah.
It's Pearl, yeah.
How many?
You get a Dragon Ball and a Tree Ball and a Whale Ball.
How many? How many? How many pieces of the Triforce are there to find? Are there 7? Because there's 7 Dragon Balls.
There's 8.
I think it's
Sorry,
8.
It's 8. Is that Wind Waker or HD?
Oh, I was thinking of OG Wind Waker as 8. I don't know how many are in Wind
Because
Waker
they
HD.
shortened the Triforce quest. And
That's lame.
You know what? People hate that the Triforce finding quest. I actually really like it
I do.
because you're exploring the world, like, and very.
Right.
I don't know.
really like
I
you.
would say that too. Like and people hate me for this. I don't think the Wind Waker has a compelling overworld. I think it had a lot of good ideas and it just fell flat on delivering them. I feel like the one time in the game where I really feel like I'm adventuring. I have to like figure out where I gotta go. What do I gotta find? You know, it's the Triforce quest. That's the first time I'm like really actively using the overworld and doing interesting things in it in the game.
Yes. No, I agree, and that's where the overworld comes to fruition as an interesting part of the game. Whereas it's very much like just go to point A to point B in the rest of the game, and then once you get to this part of the world, it's like, okay, now you have to explore the world. You have to find all these things, like all these charts and everything, and decode them. And no,
Oh
it's
my god,
good.
did any of you complete the figurine quest on the Wind Waker?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one part I can never finish. I can't do all the.
I
figures.
never 100% any Zelda games. So.
Oh, I never finished that one.
Yeah.
I explored, but I never took all the pictograms. That was way too much.
That's too
Yeah.
much. No, that one is.
Alright.
It's the pictographs and fishing are the ones that I never finished.
Yeah.
Alright, Gus, would you like to go ahead and read off the question that you picked?
I do. The one that I choose is from Memphis Husbando. I don't know if you guys already read that one.
No.
Oh, okay. It's from the Discord also.
Okay.
This one is for Jesse and from Daniel. Would you guys like to see a Zelda game that shows more of Link's home life with his family?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so examples, Link lives in a village, and then Ganon. Yeah, we get to see this a little bit already in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see...
I mean, his family's dead in half
Yeah.
those games, but
Yeah, no, for sure. But, well, like, Wind Waker,
His
you
home
see
life,
his
though.
grandma and his sister. But, yeah, no, more his home life in the village he grows up with, and the...
What was the one theory that Link was Ganondorf's son?
Oh, stop. No. The theory that makes me cringe.
His red hair is a dead giveaway.
Then a lot of people theorize that in Breath of the Wild. Like, before it came out, there were theories about that going on too, because Link had Gerudo-like designs on his armbands, and so suddenly that meant that Ganondorf was Link's father. These were real theories that existed, guys.
but there's no Ganondorf in Breath of the Wild.
I know! I know! Well, this was pre-release, though, that these theories were going out,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
But it still is like, people will take the tiniest detail and grasp at straws with it, you know? Just,
Yeah.
oh.
But to get back to the question, I would like to see
Yes.
it. Like, we've seen Link's sister and grandmother in Wind Waker. We've seen his uncle for like a few seconds in A Link to the Past. We see like a cutscene, or like there's a cutscene where his mom is mentioned in Ocarina of Time. Twilight
Briefly.
Princess has the Hero of Time as like his grandpappy.
Yeah. But you see his whole village in Twilight Princess, you know, the people that are like his
Yeah.
family, quote unquote, like not his biological family per se, but the people he grew up with and that he lives around and helps around, you know, helps them with their problems and works on the farm and everything, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm putting
Yeah.
Justice
Yeah,
League
no,
every
no,
time I
it's
talk.
it's anything that would add more character development to Link.
Yeah.
To flesh out his character, I would enjoy that. What about you, Mandy?
Yeah, I would enjoy that too.
All right, and what are your thoughts on this, Gus?
Uh,
Do you want to see Link's family?
a part of me, yes. The other part, no. Because I'd like to go and explore the open world, but then the other part, when I think that seeing Link's family, I think that it could be more like a crossbreed between Animal Crossing or some strange introduction scene. Oh my god, my face stopped. Wait a... Oh, it's my cat. He's just wanting attention.
I want to see your cat, but your camera's off.
Oh, one moment.
I want to see the cat.
I'll place it. Let me just plug it. He left me alone for one moment.
Kitty podcast.
My issue also is that whenever we have a game that does, the more they show his home life, the more the beginning of the game drags. You know, the longer the tutorial section.
So the easy solution to that is to do the Majora's Mask model where you have a place you go back to. Ah, great cat.
Oh, I want it.
All yours. He acts like a dog also.
Good boy.
Yo.
I love cats too much.
Let's see here. Sorry, you were going to continue the question. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the only one who didn't say anything yet. Yeah. I'll make it brief, but like I feel like the orphan situation is like a recurring thing in the Zelda games to one extent or another. If Link has a family, it's like a partial family, like he's being raised by his grandmother. I think they use that as an excuse to just throw you out in the world, kind of like you guys were getting at. But you can still have like an abrupt or a brief intro that deals with that, or do the Majora's Mask thing where you have a place you come back to and you keep interacting with your family. I think part of the reason they do it is so they don't have the like obvious question of, okay, so why is the young boy going out to save the kingdom instead of like his perfectly healthy, strong dad, or something like that? You know, like the functioning adults kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, like they could do something where they like Ocarina of Time begins with the Deku tree being poisoned. So what if it's like the father's poisoned? So then,
100%.
Like there's always plot devices they could throw in there.
Yeah, but I would say that like as much as I feel like that the orphan thing is like useful to the story, and I don't really care one way or the other. I'm fine with that trope, if you know what I mean. They could keep it for all I care. But there's also interesting opportunities if you do include more of his family, or if not his actual family, like maybe other characters that form similar roles, like friends from his home village, etc. Because like there was one thing that I thought would have been really cool in Skyward Sword is if you didn't. I mean, as much as I was just talking about, I love the demise build up to the demise fight. I thought it'd be really sweet if after Link is a lazy kid in his in the academy at the beginning of Skyward Sword, like they make clear
he's really relate to him.
Yeah, he's basically a nobody kind of. That's part of his character. What if at the end of the game, what if they played that up? What if Groose was considered the hero of Skyloft, right? And at the end of the game, you go to fight Demise, and he takes you to Skyloft, or goes to Skyloft himself, either to destroy it, to teach you a lesson or something, or maybe he takes you there because he wants all your loved ones to see you die or something like that. So you fight the Demon King in front of your family.
Well, when you said that,
I
just imagined him Demise taking Link to Skyloft, and it's like, now your family's gonna see you die, and it's like, I don't have any.
Joke's on you, buddy.
So Demise just like walks away.
He's like, well, alright, you win. I guess I was wrong about you, kid.
Anyway, that's
alright.
No, I like that idea a lot, actually.
Yeah, Axel, pick out our next question.
Well, I was debating on if this one was too ridiculous, or well, not ridiculous, but
can you give us a snazzy intro?
Okay. Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is GameOverJesse, and I've been given one question to ask, and I'm going to give it some pizzazz.